So let's work on Limehouse blues now. I'm just going to take the first 4 bars, play it for you, and then we'll go back and break it down a little bit closer. Here we go. Okay, then we're on into there, the next chord. So let's look at the very first chord. I'm sliding up actually a little pickup measure again on the 4th beat, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. That quarter note there, I'm just sliding up to start my G7th chord, okay? And as soon as I arrive there, I'm on the 8th fret, middle finger on the 8th fret E string, and then I've got my ring finger on the 8th fret D string. Okay, so this is where I'm my kind of target I'm going up to. And as soon as I get there, that first beat of the next measure, after the pickup measure, I want to pinch with the open E string and the low E string here. And with the thumb, for this entire chord, this is like a C7 chord. I'm just alternating back and forth, 6th string, 4th string, okay? The other thing to mention is if you want, you can get a little bit of the G string in there too with your thumb. Or you can play it kind of nice and articulate and clean and just get the D string. So here it is again. Okay, so the thumb's going 6/4, 6/4 the whole time, right on the beat. And I'm playing the melody, sounds like this, on the E and B string. Okay, so we have the open E string. It's pretty much going to ring out throughout this entire measure, or actually sections of measure with this same chord throughout the melody. That's going to ring out, that's okay. Our other melody notes are happening on the B string. I'm using my index finger on the B string 7th fret, and then the pinky on the B string 8th fret to get the other notes of the melody. So here's the melody again. That's what we want to strive for, getting clean on the treble strings. So here it is with the bass. Right, so our really, the only notes we're playing on the melody are on the E string and B string. I also like to add in my index finger though on the G string, just for a little bit of added harmony there when I play the melody notes on the B string. So that would look like this. So that's pairing the index and middle together. You don't have to do that, but you'll see me doing that. I like that sound of just that added G note in there. So a little bit more of the chord coming through. Okay, so that's what we're doing on the C7th. One more time, and then I'll walk us into the A7. Okay, so the last measure there is just riding it out on the thumb. And then we're here to an A7. We've seen this a couple times in different tunes we're working on. We have the index finger on the 4th string 5th fret, middle finger on the 3rd string 6th fret. This is an A7. And our melody is actually the same melody. It's the same melody we had over the C7, but now we have to use the ring finger and pinky in order to get that. And I'm also letting the E note here, the open E string, just ring out as well. Kind of like that sound ringing together. Another way you could always get the E note here if you don't want it to ring out, but I think it sounds kind of cool letting that ring. So here's what it sounds like with the A7. Our thumb is now rotating 5th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th string. And you can use the same pattern with the right hand that you did with the C7. So here it is with the C7 and A7 together. Same thing there, the last measure on the A7, you're just keeping the bass moving. Okay, and now we're gonna move to a chord here. This is kind of like a, what would I call this? A G over B type of chord for our next little part of the melody. This is a little bit tricky because of this stretch. I have the bar on the 5th fret. I'm really barring, all I need, I guess, is the top 4 strings more comfortable to just pretty much get them all for me. So while I could do this, it's a little bit easier to just bar all 6. And then I have the middle finger up on the 7th fret, low E string, the ring finger up on the 7th fret of the G string. Okay, so here's our next part of the melody. So this move's tricky. Let me play it from the A7, play it all the way through that, and then I'll show you what's going on there. So this is a difficult part. You're going to have to move your bar up. So let's look at it one note at a time here. I'm also just going 6-4, 6-4 with my bass on my right hand thumb. So there's my melody. Okay, and I'm getting that combination of the melody with the ring finger, my bar, and then pinkie, walking it up on the B string. Let's see one more time. And so there, halfway through playing that melody, I'm going to move my bar up to the 6th fret. Working up to this B7 chord. So that is difficult. That's a difficult move for sure, especially if you have a high action on your guitar up here on this part. So this is something to really work on. And it's actually difficult to do it slow because it's hard to keep that bar down. But here it is again. I'll work up to my B7th chord. So when I get to the B7th, I'm barring the 7th fret, and I've got the ring finger on the A string 9th fret and my middle finger on the G string 8th fret. And I'll walk up one more time, show you the melody of the B7. So the melody, that's what we're trying to get with the B7th chord. So you've got to reach that pinkie up there all the way to the 11th fret. I know I made this one extra difficult for us. Now one thing that can happen if you're having a tough time keeping the ring finger there and getting the pinkie, you can drop the ring finger and just try to use the middle finger and index. That works fine. So if it's too much of a stretch, leave out the ring finger there. But if you can get it there, it'll allow you to keep going 6-4, 5-4 with your bass. So here's the B7. Okay, and then we're coming to an A7th chord. Let me just play this little sequence of what happens next, and then I'll walk you through it. Back again. So we're at this A7th, and before we played it with the index and middle, now we're using the middle finger and ring finger because we have to do a little bit of a tricky maneuver to get the melody. So I've got middle finger now on the D string, 5th fret, ring finger on the G string, 6th fret. And the melody is doing this. Okay, so it's walking up like a chromatic type of lick. Just a half step at a time. And that makes it kind of a tricky fingering. You're also going to have to bring that index finger underneath a little bit. It's going to like slide underneath that middle finger. That's going to take some time to get used to doing that if you haven't before. So this part should take a little bit of extra focus and practice on this part. So here we go with this A7. I'll play it for you. Okay, so the melody again, all the way up to here. So first part of this A7 chord. So this is a little dissonant when you hit that G sharp note. That's okay, you're playing the right thing, especially when you're doing it slowly. it sounds a little more dissonant than when you're going to do it in the performance. So if it's sounding a little bit out, that's okay for the moment. Here it is again. So what I had to do there to get the melody up on the 7th fret of the E string is switch my chord shape. So watch how I'll go from this A7 shape to this A9 shape. Same thing here, our melody is on the E string and the B string. So you could just play the melody with the bass, but I like to add in the index and middle finger as well, just so I kind of get the fuller harmony of those chords. Alright, so that's that part. And then we're going to play a D7th chord, bar in the 5th fret. So the melody, another chromatic movement, descending this time. So we're strumming the entire D7th chord, making sure to get that note with our bar on the high E string. And I just use the pinkie to walk this note down on the B string, 9th fret, 8th fret, right down back into the D7 chord. So, and then we're moving that down half a step, like a C#7, and that's going to lead us back to our C7 chord. So let's look again from the A7 all the way back to the C7 here. Okay, so that's a tricky part right there. That's going to take some time to get comfortable navigating these chords. And don't worry though, I mean, it took me time to get this down as well. So one more time, and then I'll continue on with the C7. So we've done this section before, same way. Now a little bit different on the melody. So let's look at that. We play the C7 the same way we did the first time, but when we get to the A7 the second time, the melody's changed, so we have to play it a little bit differently, especially with the left hand movement here. So the melody is now that's what you're striving for with the melody. So I'm holding down index finger and middle finger on the D and G string, and it's easier for me also just to play a bar with the index because we're going to need that note on the high E string 5th fret. So barring the top 4 with the index, 5th fret, middle fingers on the G string, 6th fret. Here it is with the melody and the boom chick. Right, the root's on the 5th string, so I'm starting my alternating bass there. Okay, muffling the bass strings, which is going to be important for this next part coming up. We're going to a G, all the way up here on the 10th fret, middle finger, A string, 10th fret, and I'm using my ring finger on the 10th fret of the E string. And the melody is going to do this. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is play ring finger on the high E string, then get the 9th fret of the E string with my index, then pinkie on the 12th fret. That's how I'm grabbing the melody there. Keeping the middle finger down the whole time. So I'm going to rotate from the A string to the G string on this. A little bit unusual, but I'm just trying to only play the notes of that G chord. And then I'm moving to an E7th. So let me do the G again. Okay, one more time. I'm switching chords here to an E7th. So barring the 9th fret, the index finger, top 4 strings, ring finger is going to play the 10th fret of the E string. Back down here to an E7th again. This is a different inversion of that chord. And I'm getting the melody there with the pinkie on the 7th fret. Okay, so there I'm barring the 5th fret, top 4 strings, and this is like an A minor 7th. The melody is doing this. Okay, one more time all the way from the G. And then we're going to play the melody in octaves here. So on the E string and also on the D string with a lower octave. One more time. And I'm sliding that phrase there from the 9th fret to the 10th fret with the index finger, and it's going from the 11th to the 12th with the ring finger. Okay. So let's do it one more time from the G all the way through that ending octave. And I'm just ending here. This is a G major chord. It's the same shape and kind of form you'd use for a C major, but I'm up here on the 10th fret, 9th fret, and the 8th fret. And I'm also rocking that ring finger back and forth when I play that. And then a little walk down in the bass to go through the song a second time. And so on, through the song the same way. When we finish up the second time, we're going to put a little bit of a tag ending on there. And I'll show you where this happens. So we've played through the song the first time all the way through, play the octaves of the melody, play it all the way through the second time. Now when we get to the octaves at the end again, I'll show you what we're going to do. The G, and then we're going to switch to an A 7th with that same melody note on top. So now A7, oops, I missed it there, I was talking. Here we go, the G, and then the octaves, you're gonna hit that A note on the B string, and then take us into this cool chromatic lick. All right, that's our ending we're doing. So here it is with the octaves. Okay, so let's look at that chromatic lick here. This is a lick that I learned from my mentor, Buster B. Jones, similar to a lick he used in songs like Cannonball Rag and Alabama Jubilee, things that are in the key of G, like this tune is. And what we're going to do is right off the octave, I get my pinky here to hit the A note, and then I'm going to slide up with my index finger on the high E string, 6th fret to 7th fret. Okay, I'm picking that with the middle finger. And then middle finger on the left hand is going to hit the B string on the 8th fret. Okay, and on the right hand I'm going middle finger thumb. Now playing the open E string with the middle finger. And on the right hand, this is where I'm going to do a little backward roll, middle index thumb. With the left hand, I'm playing the index finger, B string, 6th fret, middle finger, G string, 7th fret. Okay, again from the top of the slide. All right, now we're going to move down to the next set of strings, open B string. And again, I'm playing a backwards banjo roll. Middle finger, index, thumb. So middle finger, open B string. Then on the left hand over here, I've got the index finger on the G string, 5th fret, ring finger on the D string, 7th fret. Okay, so putting that all together. And I'm walking the fingers individually. So I can visualize it as little groupings, but I want to play it and walk the fingers individually. That's that's going to make it easier for me to get to the notes I need to be instead of just playing it as groups of little chords. So there I have middle finger index on the open B string, open G string, and a pull off with the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. I'm pulling down on the string. Open G string after that. So here it is. Okay, that's the first piece of it. And then we're going to do a pull off on the B string, 1st fret with the index finger. Again, pulling down on the string. So that's a pull off on the B string from the 1st fret to open. Got my ring finger playing next on the G string, 3rd fret. And then open B string, open G string. One more pull off on the D string. The same thing we did before. D string pulling off middle finger, 2nd fret. Okay, let me walk you through that entire lick really slow. So this is an instance where you play it really slowly and you think to yourself, well, I don't know if that sounds quite like what he was doing in the performance. I'll assure you it is what I'm doing, but it's a different sound when you break it down and do it really slowly. But that's the way you've got to practice it. Little chunks, especially with big long licks and this kind of thing like that, little bits at a time, going for your accuracy, making sure you're getting the right finger in with the left and right hand. And then as you bring it up to speed, you'll hear it's going to sound just like it did in the performance video. So there you go with Limehouse Blues. There's a lot going on in there, but if you take your time, just work through it like you've been doing your other tunes, a little bit at a time, small chunks, put them together. I think you'll have no problem and have fun playing that.